People say trust is what keeps a marriage standing. But what if that trust was poured over 18 years of lies? My wife kept telling me she was pulling late shifts at the hospital, and the whole time she was slipping off to hotel rooms with a millionaire boyfriend. And then came the real gut punch. When I learned the truth about our youngest son, everything I thought I knew about my marriage fell apart in a heartbeat. My name's Mark Johnson. I'm 42, and I run a commercial cleaning outfit here in Nebraska. I built it from nothing 12 years ago. Just me, a beat-up van, and more grit than sense. Now I've got 8 people on payroll and contracts with about half the office buildings in town. It's honest work, and it keeps the lights on for a family of 5. That family part is where things get messy. My wife, Emily, is 38 and works as a nurse at the county hospital. We have 3 kids. Noah, 16, sharp as a tack. Emma, 12, always asking a million questions. And Caleb, 8, still thinks dad can fix anything with a screwdriver and some tape. Let me level with you. Those last 2 weren't exactly planned. Emily made that clear from day one. After Noah, she wanted to be done, said 1 was enough. Kids cost a fortune, and she had career goals. I wanted a bigger family. I grew up an only child, and I remember the quiet too well. Maybe that was selfish, but when the condoms failed a couple of times, I wasn't exactly crying about it. Emily never let me forget that Emma and Caleb weren't her choice. She never said it to their faces, but late at night I'd hear her on the phone with her mom, Carol, talking about how trapped she felt. That should have been my first red flag. I told myself she'd come around. Instead, she pulled away, picked up more shifts, came home exhausted and distant. The kids noticed, especially Noah. He started asking why mom didn't show up to his basketball games anymore. The Tuesday, everything changed started like any other. Emily said she had another double. She stepped into the kitchen wearing brand new scrubs. Hair done. More makeup than she usually bothered with for a long day on the floor. "You look good," I said, and I meant it. "Thanks," she muttered, eyes on her phone. "I'll be late tonight. Dr. Bennett scheduled extra surgeries again." Again, slipped out before I could stop it. Her eyes flashed. "Yes, Mark. Again. Some of us have jobs that actually matter." The room went still. Heat rose in my chest, but I swallowed it. Not in front of the kids. That afternoon, I was supervising a job when my phone buzzed. It was Tom Harris, an old Army buddy. "Hey, Mark," he said. "Might be nothing, but I saw Emily at Murphy's Steakhouse yesterday. She was with a guy in a nice suit." My hand froze. Emily hates Murphy's, calls it overpriced and pretentious. "What did he look like?" I asked. "Older. Late 40s. Silver hair. Expensive watch. Looked like money." That night, Emily came in a little after midnight. I pretended to be asleep when she slid into bed, but I could smell the cologne on her clothes, something pricey and not mine. For the first time in 18 years, I wondered if I knew my wife at all. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake what Tom told me. Emily at Murphy's with a silver-haired stranger while I thought she was saving lives. I kept trying to find a reasonable explanation, but my gut wouldn't buy it. Little things piled up. Her phone started living face down on the counter. She went straight to the shower the second she got home, when she used to crash on the couch first. And she'd bought new underwear, lacy stuff that never made an appearance in our bedroom. By Thursday morning, I crossed a line I couldn't uncross. After Emily left for her shift and the kids caught their buses, I drove to the county hospital. My hands were sweating on the wheel as I pulled into the visitor lot and killed the engine. I walked into the emergency department like I belonged there, gave the security guard a nod, and kept moving. He barely looked up from his newspaper. The nurse's station was humming, phones ringing, monitors beeping, charts sliding back and forth. That's when I spotted Megan Price, someone I'd met a few times at hospital charity events. "Mark?" she said, genuinely surprised. "What brings you here? Everything okay with Emily?" There it was, the opening I needed. I put on my best worried husband face. "That's actually why I'm here. Emily's been taking so many extra shifts lately. I wanted to drop off some coffee. Is she around?" Megan's forehead wrinkled. "Extra shifts? Honey, Emily hasn't picked up overtime in 2 months. She's barely been covering her regular hours. Dr. Bennett is pretty frustrated about it, actually." The words slammed into me, but I kept my face steady. "Huh, maybe I got my dates mixed up," I said with a weak laugh. "You know how it is." "Sure do," Megan said, already turning back to her paperwork. "Tell her I said hi when you see her." I walked out of that hospital on shaky legs. 2 months. Emily had been lying to me for 2 solid months about where she was spending her evenings. All those nights, she came home smelling like some expensive cologne, claiming she was dead on her feet from back-to-back surgeries. She'd been somewhere else. With someone else. That afternoon, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called my old buddy Jason Reed, who runs a small private investigation outfit out of his garage. Jason and I served together in Iraq, and if there's one thing I know about him, it's that he can dig up anything on anyone. I need a favor, I said when he picked up, and it has to stay between us. What kind of favor? Jason asked, careful and slow. The kind that involves following my wife and taking pictures. He went quiet for a long second. Mark, are you sure? Once you go down this road, there's no going back. I'm already on it, I told him. I just need to know how far it goes. We met that evening at a diner out by the highway. Jason slid a tiny device across the table, no bigger than a matchbox. GPS tracker, he said. Magnetic. Battery lasts 3 weeks. I'll monitor it from my end and tail her when she goes somewhere interesting. Standard rates $200 a day plus expenses. I handed him $400 in cash. 2 days should be enough. That night, after Emily went to bed claiming she was wiped from another shift, I slipped into the garage. My hands were steady as I crouched by her car and clicked the tracker onto the underside of the rear bumper. The soft thud sounded like thunder in the quiet. Walking back into the house, I felt like a stranger in my own life. The guy who'd kissed Emily goodnight 20 minutes earlier wouldn't have put a tracker on his wife's car. But that guy also wouldn't have stayed married to someone who could lie to his face every day without blinking. Sometimes you have to become someone you barely recognize to deal with people who aren't who you thought they were. Jason's first text came Saturday evening while I was helping Caleb with his homework. Got something. Check your email. I excused myself to the garage and opened my laptop. The photos knocked the wind out of me. Emily's car, parked outside the Marriott downtown. Emily, walking into the lobby with a man who matched Tom's description perfectly. Silver hair, sharp suit, the kind of confidence you can buy. Timestamp, 2:47 p.m. exactly when she was supposed to be starting her shift. The next shot had them in the hotel bar, sitting close, his hand on her knee. Emily was laughing, head tossed back in a way I hadn't seen in years. She looked happy. Not, work went fine happy, but glow from the inside happy. The final photo was the gut punch. The two of them stepping into an elevator, fingers laced, staring at each other like teenagers. The timestamp on the photo said 4:23 p.m. Right then my phone buzzed. It was Jason. They stayed 2 hours. Got the license plate, too. Running it now. I sat in the garage staring at pictures of my wife with another man and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger. That would show up later. This was plain acceptance. The woman I married, the mother of my kids, was having an affair. Sunday morning brought the next hit. I was flipping pancakes when Emily announced she'd picked up a shift at the hospital. On Sunday, Noah asked, finally looking up from his phone. Mom, you never work Sundays. Her jaw tightened. Well, I do now, she snapped. Some of us have responsibilities. After she left, I called Jason. She's on the move again. Already tracking her, he said. Not heading to the hospital. She's driving east toward the business district. An hour later, he texted me an address. Riverside Country Club, the most expensive club in town, the kind of place where the yearly dues cost more than I make in 6 months. Minutes after that, his background check on the plate came through. The guy's name was Grant Wallace, 48, CEO of Wallace Development Corporation, married to Laura Wallace for 22 years, 3 kids, estimated net worth around $12 million. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. Emily wasn't just cheating, she was trading up. Looking to step out of our middle-class life into something bigger and shinier, something that didn't include cleaning company paychecks and 3 kids she never really wanted. I spent the rest of Sunday planning. Not a blow-up that would give her room to lie and twist things, but protection. Protection for me, for the kids, and for the business I'd built from nothing. That evening, Emily came home glowing. She said the hospital had been quiet and Dr. Bennett thanked her for coming in on short notice. How thoughtful of him, I said, watching her face. She just smiled and headed for the shower, humming that same tune I'd heard all week. I recognized it now, The Way You Look Tonight, the song playing in the hotel bar in Jason's photos. Monday morning, I did something I never imagined I'd do. I booked a meeting with a divorce lawyer. Not because I was ready to pull the trigger, but because I needed to know the battlefield if this turned into a war. His name was Ethan Cole. Nothing flashy, just a small office above the hardware store on Main. Jason swore he was sharp and didn't waste time. Cole was a thin man in his 50s with gray hair and tired eyes, the kind that had watched too many marriages crash. I laid it all out. The work lies, the photos, the background on Grant Wallace. How long has this been going on? Cole asked, taking notes. At least 2 months that I can prove, I said. Probably longer. He nodded. And you have 3 children? 16, 12, and 8. This could get messy, he warned. Especially if she fights for custody. Document everything. Her absence from home, lies about work, missed events. Any proof she's neglecting parental duties. That afternoon, I started a journal. Every lie Emily told. Every game, recital, or dinner she skipped. Every night, she rolled in late smelling like another man's cologne. I wrote it all down with dates and times. I also started recording our conversations. Nebraska's a one-party consent state, so I could legally record anything I was part of. I bought a small digital recorder and kept it in my shirt pocket. The breakthrough came Wednesday evening. Emily was in the shower after another late shift, and I was helping Emma with her math when I heard a buzz from the kitchen counter. Emily had forgotten her phone, something that almost never happened anymore. Emily had left her phone unattended. The screen lit up with a preview. The text was from Dr. Bennett. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. You're incredible. My stomach dropped, but my hands stayed steady. I took a quick screenshot, then cleared the notification so it wouldn't show up when she picked the phone back up. A second later, I heard the water cut off upstairs and the shower door slide. I set the phone exactly where I'd found it, grabbed the newspaper, and sat at the kitchen table like a man reading the sports page on a quiet weeknight. She came downstairs toweling her hair, eyes already scanning countertops. Did my phone ring? She asked, tapping the screen and flicking through her messages. Not that I heard, I said, keeping my voice lazy and my eyes on the print. My heart was pounding hard enough to shake the chair, but I turned a page and pretended to read. That night, after she fell asleep, I moved like a ghost. I transferred the screenshot to a secure folder on my laptop, labeled and time-stamped. Tomorrow I'd have Jason tail her again, but now I had something different, proof from her own phone that Dr. Bennett was more than just her boss. The worst part wasn't learning my wife was cheating. It was watching my kids inch away from her without understanding why. Noah had stopped asking her to come to games. He just tied his shoes and looked at the empty seat next to me in the bleachers. Emma quit running to the kitchen to show off her school projects. She'd leave them on the counter and ask me, "Do you think Mom saw it?" Caleb came to me for everything now. Even the little questions he used to save for his mom, like which glue to use on a poster or how to fold a paper airplane so it would fly straight. They felt it, even if they couldn't name it. Their mother was choosing something, someone, over all of us. That realization didn't make me harder, it made me clearer. I wasn't just trying to save a marriage anymore. I was protecting my kids' future. I wasn't going to lose that fight. Friday evening delivered the conversation I'd been dreading. Emily was tugging on fresh scrubs, the fabric snapping at the seams, when Caleb came barreling down the stairs with red eyes and a construction paper volcano under his arm. "Mommy," he cried, tugging at her sleeve. "I need help with my science project. It's due Monday." Emily peeled his hand off like it burned. "Caleb, I don't have time for this," she snapped, yanking a drawer for a hair tie. "Can't you see I'm trying to get ready for work?" "But you promised you'd help me," he wailed, voice cracking. "I never promised anything," she said, flat and cold. "Ask your father. He's good at cleaning up messes." I heard it. The line. The one you can't unhear. My little digital recorder was running in my shirt pocket. Nebraska's one-party consent law doing exactly what my lawyer said it would do. "Emily," I said, keeping my voice level. "He's 8 years old and asking for help with homework." She spun on me, frustration twisting her face into something hard. "You know what, Mark? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of these kids always needing something. I never wanted 3 children. You forced that on me, and now I'm supposed to pretend I'm happy about it?" "Mommy." We all turned. Emma stood halfway down the stairs in her pajamas, hair messy, eyes wide. She'd heard every word. Emily looked at our 12-year-old with a flash of pure resentment. "Emma, go to your room. Why don't you love us anymore?" Emma asked, and the tears started, quiet at first, then full on. The silence that followed was a physical thing, heavy and humming, like the house itself was waiting to see what came next. For a second I thought Emily might back up, say something, anything, to patch the hole she'd just kicked in the wall. Instead, she grabbed her purse and the keys. "I have to go to work," she said, chin high. "Some of us have important things to do." The door clicked. The engine turned over. The taillights washed the living room red and then vanished. I pulled both kids in and held them while they cried. Noah came down the stairs slowly, jaw tight, eyes older than 16. He didn't say much, just stood there, taking it in, then shook his head. "Dad," he said quietly, "you know she's not really going to work, right?" I looked at my son and realized he'd put it together on his own. "How long have you known?" "A couple weeks," he said. "I saw her at the mall with some older guy when she was supposed to be at the hospital. They were holding hands." After I got the younger two calmed and in bed, I stepped out to the garage and called Jason. My voice surprised me, steady, measured, like I'd been rehearsing this part without knowing it. "I need everything you can get on this affair," I told him. "Times, places, photos, everything. And I need it fast." "What's happening?" Jason asked, low and careful. I looked through the open garage door at my dark, quiet house, the kids' backpacks by the stairs, the little volcano waiting on the table, and felt the cold resolve settle in again. "I've got what I need at home," I said. "Now I need the rest." By then, Emily was letting the mask slip in front of the kids. I could see who she really was, and I knew I had to shut this down before she did any more damage. The end came on a Tuesday morning in October. I'd been prepping for weeks, quietly, methodically, moving the things that mattered most to a storage unit across town. Legal papers in labeled folders. Photo albums the kids loved to flip through on rainy days. A handful of keepsakes that meant more than their price tags. Every trip was small enough to look like an errand, but each one felt like I was lifting a brick off my chest. The kids sensed it. I didn't dump adult problems on them, but I did prepare them as gently as I could. Things might change a little, I'd say at bedtime. "I'm here. We're okay." They watched my face and believed me. That morning, Emily left for another pretend shift. She kissed me goodbye the same way she had for 18 years. Routine, automatic, never guessing it would be the last time. After the kids caught their buses, I loaded the final boxes into my truck. The dogs came with me. Emily never liked them anyway, and they were mine from the years before we married. When I was done, I stood in the quiet kitchen and set one last thing on the table where she couldn't miss it, my wedding ring, and a single sheet of paper with 4 words written in block letters. "I know about Grant." That afternoon, I picked the kids up from school. I'd already arranged for them to stay a few days with my brother while the dust settled. Noah understood right away. He climbed in, buckled up, and stared out the window like he'd been rehearsing this moment. Emma and Caleb were confused, but they trusted me. They always have. "Where are we going, Dad?" Emma asked as we turned toward my brother's neighborhood. "Someplace safe," I told her. "Somewhere your mom's words can't hurt you right now." My phone started ringing around 6 p.m. Unknown number. I let it go. It rang again and again and again. 17 calls in one night, each ending in a voicemail I didn't open until later. The pattern was exactly what I expected. First, denial. "Mark, I don't know what you're talking about. Call me back." Then, anger. "How dare you take my children and disappear like a coward." Finally, bargaining. "Please, we can work this out. I made a mistake, but we can fix it." I'd spent years trying to fix what she was breaking. I was done. Wednesday morning, a text buzzed in from Jason. "Your wife showed up at my office demanding your location." I told her I don't discuss client business. She's desperate. No surprise there. Thursday, Ethan Cole called with news. "She's retained Madeline Sharp," he said. "Sharp's tough and pricey. Your wife's going to need a backer for this fight." "Let me guess," I said. "Grant Wallace is footing the bill." "That's my read," he replied. "Here's the good part. We've got adultery, abandonment of parental duties, and financial deception. Nebraska may be no fault for ending a marriage, but fault can still bite when you get to property and custody. Her affair is going to cost her." Saturday morning, exactly 1 week after I left, Emily finally tracked me down. I was at the storage unit, sorting the last of my stuff, when her car rolled up. She climbed out looking hollow, eyes red-rimmed, hair unwashed, wearing the same clothes I'd seen days earlier. She approached like I was a stray dog that might bite. "Mark," she said, voice cracking. "Please. We need to talk." "No," I said, simple and steady. "We don't. I made a mistake. It's over with him. I choose our family." I looked at the woman I'd married, the mother of my kids, and felt only pity. "You had our family," I said. "You chose to throw it away. You told our 8-year-old son you never wanted him." Her face went white. She'd forgotten about the recorder. "You can't use that against me," she whispered. "Actually," I said, "I can. And I will." She went home to an empty house that day. 10 months later, she learned why it had to be that way. Word of her desperation traveled fast in a small town. According to my brother Adam, she showed up at his place 3 times demanding to see the kids. Each time, he told her the simple truth. "They don't want to see you right now." Then she tried my mother. Mom told me the porch conversation went exactly how you'd expect. "Linda," Emily said, eyes wet, "please tell me where Mark is. We can fix this." My mother, 5'2" and all spine, looked her up and down with a kind of quiet disappointment only a mom can manage. "Emily," she said evenly, "you told my grandchildren you never wanted them. You broke my son's heart for a rich man's attention. There's nothing left to fix." And Mom closed the door. Emily's saddest attempt came next, through the kids' schools. Emily showed up at Caleb's elementary school and told the front desk she needed to take him to a doctor's appointment. The secretary called me right away. "Mr. Johnson," she said, voice tight, "your wife is here demanding to pick up Caleb. Should I call the police?" "If she won't leave on her own," I said, keeping my tone calm. "Yes." Emily left, but not quietly. In the parking lot, she shouted that I'd kidnapped her children. Parents froze mid-conversation. Teachers stopped at crosswalks. By dinner time, half the neighborhood had heard about her meltdown. A day later, she hired a private investigator to tail me. The guy was obvious, idling in a gray sedan outside my storage unit, popping up in the next lane when I drove to the grocery store, pretending to look at magazines 2 aisles over. I called Ethan Cole. "She's having me followed," I told him. "Good," Ethan said without missing a beat. "That's desperation and harassment. Document everything. This helps us." 3 weeks after I left, Jason called with news I didn't expect. "Your wife's boyfriend dumped her," he said. "I followed her to Wallace Development yesterday. She went into Grant's office crying and came out 20 minutes later in worse shape. Sat in her car for an hour." That explained the flood of calls and late-night voicemails. In a month, Emily had lost her husband, her boyfriend, and her kids. Reality was finally knocking, but I couldn't find sympathy for someone who'd set the fire and then begged for water. She made her bed. Now she was lying in it alone, and everyone in town knew why. The divorce papers were served on a cold December morning, at the hospital, on purpose. I asked Ethan to deliver them there, so her colleagues would see what her double life had cost. She'd torn our family in public. She could face the consequences in public, too. According to Megan Price, the reaction was immediate. Emily broke down right at the nurse's station, crying, saying it was all a misunderstanding. Dr. Bennett stepped in and sent her home. The packet laid out everything: adultery, abandonment of parental duties, emotional abuse of minors, and financial deception. Ethan had timestamps, logs, and photos to back up every line. Emily had already retained Madeline Sharp, a high-priced, hard-charging attorney. The $15,000 retainer told us what we needed to know. Grant Wallace was bankrolling the fight. Sharp's first move was predictable: file for temporary custody and emergency spousal support, painting me as an unstable man who'd kidnapped the kids in a jealous rage. Ethan actually laughed when he read the motion. "She's grasping at straws," he said. "We've got your recordings of Emily telling the kids she never wanted them. Sharp knows she's swimming upstream." The temporary hearing landed on January 15th. 2 days before, Sharp lobbed a last-ditch motion claiming I'd been psychologically abusive for years and had forced Emily into unwanted pregnancies, reproductive coercion. "It's a Hail Mary," Ethan explained. "She's trying to flip the narrative and turn Emily into the victim. Problem for them is we've got 18 years of messages, calendars, photos, and witnesses that show you were a devoted husband and father." The hearing itself was a slow, steady dismantling. Ethan didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He walked the court through GPS data, photos from the hotel and the country club, employment records proving she lied about overtime, And then, quietly, the recording where Emily told our children she never wanted them. When that audio played, you could feel the air leave the room. Emily's face went white. She stared at the table like she could disappear into it. I didn't gloat. I just sat there, hands folded, and let the truth do the work. Her own words, telling Caleb she was tired of kids always needing something, made people in the courtroom physically recoil. Judge Harper listened with a face that got sterner by the minute. When Madeline Sharp tried to argue that Emily deserved a second chance, the judge cut her off. I've heard a mother tell her 8-year-old child she never wanted him, Judge Harper said, voice cold. This court will not reward that behavior. The ruling came fast. I got temporary full custody. Emily was limited to supervised visitation pending a psychological evaluation. No spousal support. Nothing else. As we walked out, Ethan Cole put a hand on my shoulder. This is just the beginning, he said, but we've got the high ground now. Justice finally felt like it was edging our way. About 3 months after the custody hearing, Ethan called with news that knocked the wind out of me. The court-ordered psych evaluation had recommended DNA testing for all 3 kids, standard procedure in messy custody fights. Mark, Ethan said carefully, we got the results back. There's something you need to know about Caleb. My stomach dropped. What about him? He's not biologically yours. It hit like a body blow. Caleb, my 8-year-old who still climbed into my lap for bedtime stories, who called me dad without a second thought, wasn't mine by blood. Are you sure? I asked, even though Ethan wouldn't have called unless he was. We ran it twice to confirm, he said. Caleb shares no paternal markers with you. I sat in my truck outside the school staring through the windshield at nothing. All those times Emily got defensive if I so much as asked about the timeline around Caleb's conception. It all made a sick kind of sense. Grant Wallace wasn't the first betrayal. He was just the latest one I'd found. When I picked up Caleb that afternoon, he sprinted to me like always, backpack bouncing, talking a mile a minute about his day. I looked at that trusting face and felt the same love I felt since the day he was born. DNA didn't change 8 years of being a father in every way that counts. What are my options? I asked Ethan that evening. This actually strengthens your case, he said. If Caleb isn't biologically yours, it shows Emily had an earlier affair, establishes a pattern of deception. Legally, there's also something called psychological paternity. You've been his dad since birth. Ripping that away now could cause serious harm. The court takes that very seriously. The final divorce hearing landed on March 15th. Emily showed up looking like a shadow of herself. Thinner, hair unkempt, clothes hanging. Grant had cut ties completely after Laura Wallace filed for divorce on her end. Sharp made one last, strained push for joint custody, saying Emily was in therapy and ready to be a better mother. Judge Harper didn't buy it. Ms. Sharp, she said evenly, your client told her children she never wanted them and abandoned her family for an extramarital affair. The evidence shows she is unfit for unsupervised contact. The final decree was tough, but fair. I received full custody of all 3 children, the house, my business assets, and retirement accounts. Emily kept her car and personal belongings, and that was it. No alimony, no child support, minimal, supervised visitation. As we stepped into the hallway, Emily made one last desperate plea. Mark, please. They're my children, too. I stopped and looked her in the eye. Emily, you told Caleb you were tired of kids always needing something. You shattered Emma's heart. You burned Noah's trust. They're not your children anymore. They're mine. DNA test or no DNA test, these kids were mine now, and I wasn't letting anyone hurt them again. 5 years later, I'm standing in our kitchen watching backpacks get zipped and cereal bowls clatter, barely able to recognize the man who used to lie awake wondering if his wife loved him. Caleb is 13 now, starting guard on his basketball team and proud of it. He still doesn't know about the DNA test, and I've decided he never needs to. He's my son in every way that matters. Emma is 17 and headed to college on a partial academic scholarship. She's confident and quick with a joke, and she doesn't bring up missing her mother. When she started dating, she told me, I want someone who treats me like you treated Mom before she messed up, Dad. That's how I'll know he's worth keeping. Noah graduated valedictorian and is finishing his sophomore year in engineering. He calls every Sunday. Sometimes he mentions seeing Emily around town, working at a discount store, living in a small apartment. She never remarried. 2 years ago, I met Sarah at one of Caleb's games, a teacher and a widow with a 10-year-old daughter named Lily. We moved slow because I needed to be certain she wanted all of us, not just me. Last Christmas, when she said yes to my proposal, Caleb was the first to wrap her in a bear hug. In 5 years, Emily has asked to see the kids 3 times. Each time, they said no. Judge Harper ultimately terminated her parental rights 2 years ago after she stopped showing up for supervised visits. Last month, a letter arrived from Emily. She'd heard about my engagement and wanted to clear the air before I remarried. Said she was sorry, that she'd been confused and selfish. I tossed the letter without finishing it. My business has tripled, 22 employees now, contracts across 3 counties. The kids help out sometimes, and Caleb loves driving the supply truck around the lot, grinning like he owns the place. This morning, Sarah flipped pancakes while I packed lunches. Lily and Caleb argued about which movie we're watching tonight, the kind of normal family chaos that makes me smile. You know what? Sarah said, sliding her arms around my waist. This is exactly how a family should sound. She's right. Emily came home to an empty house 5 years ago and spent 10 months wondering why her life fell apart. The answer was simple. She chose to destroy something good for something that was never going to last. I chose to build something better. Sometimes the best revenge is just living well.